Peace and love, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Soul Speaks podcast, where your soul is speaking its mind. No more holding back, no more holding in. My yacht wouldn't like that. I am so glad to be back. That hiatus was way too long, and let me tell you something. God was on me. God been on me for at least like 2.5 months about getting back out here and relaying the messages and the downloads that I've been receiving. And I've been such in a like, oh, but it doesn't sound right, or my environment isn't how it was before when I was able to record. And he has been like, forget all that. My ancestors and spirit guides have been like, you have not been relaying the downloads and the messages that we have been giving you and that you have been getting, and this was your outlet. And I was like, you are right, but, and they're like, no buts. So I don't know if you're in that energy right now where you want to continue a project or you want to start a project, but you feel like there's an environment that's not right, or you feel like you don't have enough resources or something like that. Just do it anyway. The resources, the environment will come. Um, it's that perfectionist energy where you don't need to be a perfectionist. We just need you to get it out. That's what they're saying. Just get it out so that you can release it. Um, so here I am, uh, back in business, and I definitely missed you guys. And I definitely missed relaying the messages that we all need at this time. It's Cancer season, water sign energy, so it's an emotional time. I will say that. And it's it's an outward emotional time, but it's also an inward emotional time. And it's a time to really self-reflect and do a lot of introspection about your emotions and how you feel about being emotional. And emotional isn't just crying, emotional isn't just having a tantrum, but how do you feel about your emotions? Do you deny them? Do you numb them? Do you allow them to just come out with no regulation? Um, and so that's what this time, this Cancer season is really going to highlight, your emotional state and how you deal with them. Because a lot of people, they're taught, not to cry or don't feel emotional, or you're not supposed to feel like that. You are supposed to feel your emotions. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not supposed to feel your emotions, that you're not supposed to feel how you feel. Don't let anybody tell you, well, you could just, smoke weed to get over it, or you could just have a drink to get over it, or you could just eat. No, that's how we create addictions and vices, and then we have to process our emotions even more because we have pushed them to the side and repressed them and suppressed them with external things. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This podcast episode is going to be called Sink or Swim. And I this message came to me because I decided to listen to Ella Mae's Heart on My Sleeve album, which already enough says that it's gonna be emotional, right? Because when anybody says, "Oh, I wear my heart on my sleeve," it's an emotional, like, they're sensitive, they're emotionally sensitive. And that really resonated with me because I do feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I also call myself a hopeful romantic. I don't say hopeless romantic. I say hopeful because I'm always optimistic. But that can be somewhat of a problem also, that can kind of fall towards delusion if you're not being discerning about who you're loving, who you're putting your energy to, right? And so this message is going to go a lot of ways. So I do have notes, but we'll see where we'll see where God takes me with this, right? 444 on the clock as I say that. So you are definitely protected. You definitely have a safe space when it comes to your emotions. And the universe and your angels and ancestors, they want you to know that. that it is okay to actually be emotional. And emotional isn't just cry, you know, it's it's being aware of them. It's putting a name to them. It's doing the actions necessary to allow yourself to feel them. It's making divine decisions after you process them. That's what being emotionally intelligent means. Um, so let's just get into it. I'm very excited. So Sink or Swim. So this is named after the song Sink or Swim by Ella May. And there's one part um that really like gets to me. I think it's the chorus. So she's saying, I'm going down, down. I can't get up. You be the reason why I never give my trust, and it hurts so bad. Tell me how to stand when the tide comes in. I'm trying, but it's hard. Love is sink or swim. So we're not really going to talk about love, like as far as like loving other people per se, but there is a little bit about self-love and about trust and things like that, because I pull cards. And so like let me just get down to it. Cancer season is really bringing up the emotions that you have been hiding and that have been hidden and repressed for so long. It is showing that you cannot avoid your emotions. Everybody wants to be so hard. Everybody wants to be so tough. And when you think about Cancer season, you think about a crab, right? So the shell is hard. It is hard to crack into. You know what I mean? And a lot of people just want to seem unbothered and unfazed by what they're going through. And that doesn't benefit you in the long run. Okay. You saying, oh, that doesn't affect me, that doesn't bother me, but it truly does, and you are just repressing it. When she says, tell me how to stand when the tide comes in. So when those emotions do come rushing in and they're like overwhelming, like it's a really big wave, um, it's harder for you to accept them, right? So you either sink in it and you drown, or you try to process them in a better way so that you can float and that you can swim with the tide. Emotions don't go anywhere. This life is always going to bring us some type of challenges or some type of lesson um that we have to just wade through, and it's important that we are present in that. Okay, so you have to process these emotions. I don't know what else to say about that. Like, it's very simple. And Cancer season is going to be bringing up emotions that you had when you were a child. So nobody is going to be able to save you with this. Like, when she says, tell me how to stand when the tide comes in, nobody can tell you how to process your emotions. Nobody can tell you how to what to do exactly. This is something that you, your present self, and your higher self have to deal with. And this is something that you, your present self, has to talk to your past self about in order to process this and to be able to float and deal with the amount of water that's coming in. Okay, we also have Pisces in retrograde. That's another water sign. It's a lot of water here. So there is a lesson here about not letting the water overtake you. Not you can't ask people for help during this. The universe never wants you to feel that you have to ignore your emotions. Your ancestors, spirit guides, and angels, they have been through that. And this is why you're here in this generation, to actually not ignore your feelings, to actually put a name to your emotions. And then how do you nurture yourself feeling those emotions. They want you to trust your feelings so you can actually make defined decisions based off something that you feel, not making impulsive decisions based on not processing them or just feeling, oh, I'm angry, so I'm going to do this. Very impulsive, very not discerning. When you process your thoughts and emotions, you're able to make divine decisions. LMA saying, you be the reason why I never give my trust. I feel that's your higher self saying, because you don't process your emotions, I can't be vulnerable with people. I can't make divine connections with people. I can't enjoy the present moment and I can't enjoy present life because you're so worried about what happened in the past. Oh, when I did this, this happened, so I'm not going to do that. You're afraid to take risks. And taking risks is bittersweet, right? Because you could take a risk and it doesn't work, but you can also take a risk and it works divinely in your favor. That risk that you're afraid to take is the risk that the universe has probably been asking you to take because you don't take risks, or to feel things, or to go out and do something different. Your higher self is talking to you about how far will you take yourself emotionally. Are you able to take the initiative to position yourself to be open, to open your heart and to experience love in the world? Are you able to process your emotions? Some people are not. Some people are very emotionally unavailable. Some people choose to be in that position, and some people are very unaware of how to process their emotions, how to learn from what they've been through. A lot of people have a lot of um, darkness in their heart. They have closed off their heart to the world. And what do I say in every intro? Mayat wouldn't like that. We have to, in order to have heaven on earth, in order to experience heaven and true love that the universe and God is giving us, we have to have an open heart. We have to have a heart that's light as a feather in order for us to ascend. Period. Point blank. Cancer season is truly showing us that if we don't sit in our shell for a little minute and process our emotions, we'll be sinking in them. And it's going to overtake us. And we won't be able to see the lesson that the universe is trying to give us. We won't be able to see that this may be something that we've dealt with before, either before in this lifetime or before in a past lifetime. And we are supposed to respond differently towards this lesson. We may not be able to see that this is a karmic cycle that has been done before, but if we don't actually name the emotion, feel the emotion, and then release the emotion, how will we ever learn? Relationship issues might be a thing this season, especially because, Cancer season, it's the home. Home is where the heart is. And if we're talking about a blocked heart chakra, if we're talking about the sacral chakra and how it's not fluid and how our emotions are just staying there, and we're in our root chakra, which is right under, it's not grounded. But I will tell you that it is grounded in the uncertainty of what's going to happen next, the uncertainty of feeling our emotions. So it's very grounded in that. It's very stuck in that. We're not grounded as people, but the root chakra is grounded in being uncertain about feeling our feelings, processing them. Inner child feelings also might be important to look at because there is something where we weren't able to process our emotions as children, where we decided to do something else instead of process our emotions, or we were told we shouldn't cry, or we shouldn't feel like that, or you have no right to feel how you feel because you're a child. Stay in a child's place. That's going to be very important. The painful memories that we've had from birth and until now may be arising like a wave. And it's our job to stand tall when the wave comes in. This season, we are not allowed to sink and drown in our emotions. It's okay, though, to feel your emotions and to be in a certain emotion for a certain amount of time. It is okay to cry. It is okay to yell. It is okay to feel your emotions. I don't know who needs to hear that. It's very, very much okay. It is very much okay. When I think of Cancer season, I think of a beach. And I think about how there's water, obviously, and I think about how there's sand. So there's an earth element to it, there's a grounding element to it. So if you're in the season of being in the water and waiting in the water, acknowledge your emotions for once. Because once you're able to wade in the water and you're able to float, you'll be able to be more grounded. You'll be able to come back on shore and see things from a different perspective. Because when you think about it, when you're in the water and you feel like you're drowning, that's a different perspective. And when you're sitting on the sand looking at the water, maybe you have your little toes in the water, that's a different perspective also. So please be gentle with yourself during this time, but also realize it's time for you to flow with the water right now. Don't fight it. If you don't panic while you're in the water, you won't drown. They say that all the time. And I don't know how to swim, but I also know how to float. Real talk. And it took me a minute to learn how to float, but you also have to not panic. You can't bring anxiety to yourself about these emotions. Allow yourself to float so that when you do get back on shore, you're emotionally intelligent, you're confident, and you're able to vocally express how you feel and what they feel like. Emotional eating may be something you need to look out for. It may be really heavy during this time. So pay attention to what you're eating and what makes you feel comfort. Drinking a lot of water will help. It always helps for the fluidity of your emotions so there's no stagnancy in your body. But because we are in a water sign season, water is going to be very, very, very important. Listening to music that evoke emotions will be very important too. So I feel like in this time, songs will be coming to you that you probably haven't heard since you were a child, or that brings back certain memories, good or bad, when you were a child. But also during these recent times that we have, been going through seasons in our life where we have really been learning about things in the last maybe 10 years. Those songs will be very important and they will surprise you. Like I've been hearing some songs that I haven't heard in years and I've been like, wow. I remember where I was during this time and what I was going through that time, and that song will evoke emotion. Don't ignore it, because I definitely had a song come up, and I was staring at the title and I was like, no, because I know how much emotion is going to be brought up during, like, while listening to it. And even staring at the title, I immediately went back to where I was emotionally when that song came out, or when I first heard that song, and I was like, absolutely not. But don't avoid it. Don't do what I do. Please don't do what I do. Because if I would have listened to that song, I probably would have been able to release the emotions that are trapped in that song. You know what I mean? And so I might listen to it. I might, but I need to be in a space I need to create a safe space for myself when I do decide to listen to that song in this season, because that song is very emotional. And I'm that type, and I don't know if you're like me and you resonate with me when it comes to, like, songs are very emotional for me. It could be a pop song, but I can remember the time that I started listening to it, and it evokes sad emotions or it evokes happy emotions. Like, it just depends. Like, songs timestamp emotions for me, if that makes sense. So journaling is going to be very important, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do when certain songs that evoke emotion come up for me, so that I can process it and actually release it that way. Um, like I said, I was listening to LMA's Heart on My Sleeve album, and in the song DFMU, which is Don't F Me Up, she says, if I'm falling in too deep, that's okay, just rescue me. I just want to reiterate that no one will be rescuing you from this, like, season. This is a personal rescue. You have to rely on your higher self to actually coach you through this. You have to rescue yourself by feeling your feelings, appreciating them, being grateful for them, and releasing them. You don't need to feel numb. You don't need to feel like you need a vice or a drug or something external to distract you from how you're feeling. We know better. We know where those vices and addictions come from. We are not distracting ourselves by numbing ourselves any longer. We're actually going to feel our feelings so that we can vocalize them when need be, and actually being confident and feeling confident in our emotions and feeling confident on speaking our truth by the time Leo season gets here. Um, this has been very tough for me to express to you guys, because I feel like I'm such an emotional baby. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm such an emotional baby, and I've been trying to be gentler with myself, because I feel like, oh, you shouldn't feel like this, or you're always so emotional, so you shouldn't feel like this. But that's where emotional intelligence comes in. If you're able to name your emotions, if you're able to understand, like, okay, if I feel sad, this is what I need to do. But it's like when you have children, you, you know how to nurture them. So if they feel scared, you know how to nurture them. If they feel confused, you know how to talk to them, and get them on the right path. This is why I said the inner child is going to be very important, because we've been our parent for a long time. We've been our own parents for a long time. And so it's finally time for us to talk ourselves out of impulsive decisions in situations. There is no more situationships. We shouldn't be in those. Whether it comes to actual love, like with actual people, connections, or situationships with ourselves, doing things we aren't supposed to be doing, not listening to the guidance of the universe, ancestors, spirit guides, and angels. This is not the time for that. When I pulled some cards earlier, and I have 3 decks out, and I'm also gonna do some tarot as well. But when I pulled from the Soul's Journey deck, purpose came out upright. I know what I am here to do. And worry came out in reverse. Worry is, I am learning that worry does not change an outcome. And they're both purple, and they both have blue in them. So this is what you do need to understand. You need to process your emotions, period. This is what you're here to do. We have witnessed generations and generations of our parents and grandparents who are just like, this is the way it is. If they felt emotional about something, they drank, they smoked, they were violent instead of processing them, instead of taking a deep breath and being like, whew, okay, this is how I feel. Let me take time to myself. We've seen how they used other people to ignore their feelings. What they say, which is the old saying, but like, oh, the best way to get over someone is to get on top of another person or to get under another person. Absolutely false. I'm sorry, but like absolutely false. How are you going to process anything that you have learned from that lesson, from that person? How are you going to learn anything about yourself if you immediately get under another person? The things that we have learned from other generations is crap. Like when I say crap, that's why we are the ones that have to change what we teach the future generations because we see how they turned out. And no offense, because we've definitely learned things that we have been able to utilize in this generation, right? As grown people. But we also know what not to do. Yeah, what not to do. What not to say. What not to use to process our emotions. So don't worry about being overly emotional. In this season, I don't think there's a such thing as being overly emotional. There's a lot of water happening right now in this season. And so we have to float with that. We have to flow with that. We have to float with that and just allow it. We can't allow it to submerge us. We need to allow it to better us, to help us grow. We always say we need to be going on the path of least resistance. Water doesn't resist, so why should you? So, right now, it is your purpose to process your emotions so that you can process your thoughts. Like I said, these cards are purple. So once you are able to process your emotions, you'll be able to speak them clearly and you'll be able to process a different perspective on these emotions and why you feel them and what triggered you. You'll be able to understand your triggers in this moment. In the and at the bottom of the deck was forgiveness. It starts also with that too. Once you process your emotions, you'll be able to forgive yourself for putting yourself in situations that you have now overcame. Or you'll be able to forgive yourself because you have put yourself in certain situations that you are now coming out of. The triggers or the what you think are insecurities or the trust issues or the codependency or fill in the blank. You'll be able to forgive yourself, even for your addictions. Oh, you felt lonely, so you decided that drinking would make you feel better. Going to the club and being around people will feel better. And don't get me wrong, I've only been to the club like one time. So I'm not knocking anyone's choice of how they feel better. Some people do need people to feel better. But right now, this is a time for you to have self-reflection. This is a time to pour love into yourself right now. Because in the Sacred Forest deck, happiness came out in reverse. Gratitude came out in reverse. So, not we're not all feeling happy right now about these emotions that are arising, because some of these emotions are past emotions that we never dealt with, and it's time to clear them out. So we're not gonna be cheery and happy and about this, but you do need to be happy and grateful in advance for the release of some of the negative connotations and some of the negative perspectives that we have had about our emotions, or that other people have placed on us about our emotions. It's a generational curse to avoid your emotions. It's a generational curse to use vices and addictions to not feel our emotions. It's a generational curse to just act like you're so hard and, oh, I don't have emotions, I'm unbothered. It's a lie. And that's a generational curse too. Lying to yourself. It's a generational curse to not trust yourself. At the bottom of the deck is trust in reverse. Not trusting in yourself, not trusting in your higher power, not trusting in the lessons that you have learned from your past self, which is still here, present day. Especially if you're not taking risks to open yourself up to what is possible for you. And I'm talking to myself too, so I'm not just talking to you. You have to be able to trust that this period of you being in the water is very important. Because how are we going to be able to be grounded if we don't take the time to learn our emotions? We won't be able to. The Gateway to Light deck. I'm excited to see what comes out for this. Because although I can't swim, I can float. And although I am very emotional, I tend to numb myself with things that make me feel good. It was drinking at one point in time, it was smoking at one point in time. Now it's journaling. Now it's like doing my podcasts. Now it's making my cosmetics to make me feel good. Now it's listening to music with an intention on learning something from the music. We are activated. Yes. Inner Earth just came out. Ooh, I love this. Because when I was shuffling before just to clear the cards and to shuffle, Karmic Board Clearing came out. Karmic Board Clearing, energetic clearing, rewrite your story, live your truth. And this card is also purple with blue in it. The next card that came out is Base Chakra, Inner Earth, strength and security, laying foundations. Our purpose right now is to lay foundations that allow our children and their children and their children to be emotionally intelligent. They will know the difference between, having a little fun by having a little sippy sip, or using the sippy sip to drown out their emotions, to numb themselves so they don't have to feel anything. They're going to know the difference. And most like our future generations probably won't even use the vices that we've used and that our parents have used to ignore their feelings. They won't even be gravitated towards that. We would have broken the generational curse of alcoholism, of smoking weed, of popping pills, or whatever people do, overeating. Sephram's Gateway, voice activation, angelic attunement, and divine support. Your ancestor spirit guides, angels, the universe, they're here. That's why they're telling you that you need to have emotional intelligence at this time. And in order to do that, you need to study your emotions. Yes, you can research the emotional wheel. That would help. But actually processing the things that you have been through in your past, in your present, so that you can release it to have a better future is very important. They're like encouraging you to do that. Like I said before, this is a personal rescue. So they're guiding you, they're helping you. But this is for you to release your past self and your past self's fears and concerns, and allow your higher self to help you, because your higher self is letting you know that you won't have this drowning problem in the future, which could be now. It could be next month. Being able to process your emotions is a beautiful thing. It hurts, yes. But it's just like riding a bike, I feel. It takes a few falls, it takes a few tries, it takes a few scrapes. Even learning how to swim. I always say that I felt like I've drowned a couple of times, but if you drown, you die. And they're not allowing that. So I felt like I was drowning. I've swallowed a little bit of water and was like, oh my God, I'm drowning, and started to panic. You're not drowning. They're not going to allow that, but you have to tell yourself that that is not going to happen to you. You're not going to drown in your emotions. You are actually going to be able to process them. Take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm here. I'm here. And I am able to float through this. I am not going to resist the emotions that come up for me. I am going to be better. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel lighter once I allow myself to float. And I'll be able to swim through any tide and any storm. At the bottom of the deck is the Holy Grail, which is the Ace of Cups. Inner discovery, finding sacredness. You are what you seek. What are you seeking? Are you seeking internal happiness? Are you seeking love within yourself? Self-love starts with self-reflection. It truly does. And I'm going to pull a few from the tarot deck, and then we're going to close out. Ace of Pentacles in reverse and Three of Swords. You are not taking the opportunity to forgive yourself for the heartbreak that people have given you and that you have given yourself. That's why forgiveness was in reverse. And it's time for you to actually do so. It's time for you to forgive yourself. Yes, it may be tough to forgive others right now, but forgive yourself for putting yourself in that situation, for not having discernment about what was done to you. Judgment is here. Once you are able to process your emotions and free yourself, judgment gets called on those who have done wrong to you, who have put you through unnecessary trauma, who have walked you down karmic cycles. But it starts with you moving on, saying, I'm going to move on from this. I am going to think about what has happened to me, and I'm going to release it. The Knight of Cups and the Eight of Swords in reverse, and, and the Three of Cups. You know, and the Eight of Cups. Wow. Yeah. This is the best way for you to clear your board. Like, this is the best way for you to do that. You are no longer allowed to carry around the emotional baggage that you have. It's time to let it go and rewrite your story. Your ancestors are actually depending on you to do this. Six of Cups. There's nothing to be stressed about. There's going to be a lot of mental anguish while you're taking this risk of releasing the things that have happened to you. You will never be able to forget it. But emotionally, you need to let that baggage go. Four of Swords just keeps popping out. If you allow yourself to stress, you will be stressed. Hangman. You're definitely not going to be able to move forward in these next seasons of life unless you clear your board. Allow the waves to wash you. Allow them to cleanse you. It's important that you do so. I love y'all. This was kind of like, look, 10 of Wands. The you carrying the burden of these emotions and what other people have emotionally put on you is over. That's why your purpose right now is to wade in the water. You are not allowed to drown this season. You are not allowed to drown this season. And if you allow yourself to float, you will float yourself on shore. And once you do that, you will be balanced. You will be able to be grounded, and you will also be able to be emotional. There's beauty in that. There is so much beauty in seeing where the water and sand meet. I love y'all. I love y'all so much. And I am so glad to be back because this is cosmic ordering as I split the deck. This is cosmic ordering. This is conscious manifesting. Once we allow ourselves to be free of the emotional baggage, we will be able to create anything. Happiness will be at our fingertips. I love y'all so much. Please stay hydrated. Please be gentle with yourself, and please express gratitude every single moment you think about it. Not every single morning. I mean, if you don't say your gratitude, start with every morning. Start with every night. But express gratitude for every single thing you have in your life, every single thing that you have experienced, because you have learned, you have grown. You are becoming more emotionally intelligent, and you are able to be your true, authentic, divine self in this season, no matter how much it hurts. I love y'all so much. See y'all later.